Okay, it's 5 o'clock. I would like to call this March 8th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting to order. I would ask if you have any cell phones or any other devices, please put them on mute so you won't disturb the meeting. Anyone wishing to address the board, please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. The first thing on the agenda is approval of minutes from February the 8th.
Move to approve. Second.
Any questions, comments, or concerns on the minutes? Hearing none, I'll call for approval. All please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are approved. Director Sheila.
First case tonight, Mr. President, is case PO1-A-22. Petition of Trip Engineering and Consulting requested development plan approval for Sing Gas Station Convenience Store. And this is the property at the corner of North Washington Street and 300 North, which is Smith Road.
Move for approval.
Second.
Is there someone here to present this case?
Tori Tripp, Tripp Engineering and Consulting, 401 South 2nd Street, Converse. Just a real brief description of the project. It's going to be a convenience store and gas station. The building will be approximately 3,000 square feet. There will be two entrances, one off of Washington Street and then another one off of County Road 300, which is Smith Road. And then it'll also have 4 gas pumps with its associated parking and pavement. So, and I can answer any questions anyone has.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Please step forward.
Yes, my name is Arnold Maggard, and I live at 199 Area Court, which is adjacent to this property. And I just have some questions. I'm concerned about any sound barriers, any partitions, any fencing that's going to be installed as protection. And I'm wondering about the discussion about planting trees, what kind of trees, where are they going to be, and so on and so forth. And the lighting, I'm concerned about the intensity of the lighting because everything I look out of my windows looks right toward that property. And then is there to be a retention pond, and if so, where? Then I'd like to know what the construction schedule is going to be and the hours of operation. So those are my questions. Thank you.
I'll see if I can remember what all that you addressed. As far as the storm water, this piece of property was included with the development of Abbey Place. So its drainage actually goes to the Abbey Place pond. Now, it didn't have, when they did the original calcs, we do have to detain some, so there will be a detention area, which will be behind the building, which will be in the northwest corner.
Right by my house.
Yes, so it'll be more like a grass area. It's only gonna be like a 1-foot depression is what it is. So when you look out your house from where you're at, you'll look at the back of the building.
Yeah, I do.
So, and then we'll have a buffer yard that goes along the west property line. And then there's, I can't remember the number of trees that are in there. But there's a bunch of trees that go along that west property line to act as a buffer. As far as tree species, I think we have on there like redbud and tulip. I'm trying to remember what the other species are. There's 4 or 5 species total. Lighting. I don't know about lighting because that is separate from the site development.
Just so I can intervene here, there is a lighting standard in our ordinance, sir, and the lighting has to go directly onto the subject property. If it goes over into your property, you have an option to call my office, and we'll go out with the lighting. Yeah, I know, you're all fired up now. We'll go out with a light. We'll go out with a light meter, and if that's true, we'll contact.
Western School behind me is a definite problem, so I need to talk to you.
Okay, yep, give me a call, and we'll look into that.
Appreciate that.
But yes, the lighting can be addressed if it encroaches onto your property.
Thank you so
Yes, sir.
much.
Absolutely.
I will definitely be in touch.
All right,
I'm sorry.
Did I get all the questions?
Hours of operation.
Hours of operation.
I don't,
And schedule.
When is it to begin?
he wants to start as soon as possible, so, yes. Yep, so this is he's already got state design release, so if we get approval here, he'll be probably coming in this week to get building permits. We've got all the stormwater and drainage approved, and as far erosion control, I just have to send the permit in. And he can start within 48 hours after I send that. So hours of operation, I have not heard that the owner has established that yet.
And where are the owners? Have the owners been here at all?
He has not been, he did not come to last week's meeting, and I don't see him here today.
You're welcome, sir.
Any questions from the board? Any other questions from the audience? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of the development plan for case P01A22, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is approved.
We do have standards that are set there, so dumpster closures, fencing is out of place.
Next case tonight, Mr. President, is case P05-C-22, petition of Paul Wyman requesting the Kokomo City Plan Commission petition and recommended the Kokomo Common Council for a change in zone classification from C1, pardon me, small to medium general commercial to C2, medium to large general commercial for property at 2405 West Jefferson Road.
Move for approval. Second.
Is there someone here to present this case?
Yes, sir. If I may just do a quick handout before I present.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure.
Sorry, Tyler.
Now we know who he is.
That's Tyler, by the way. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Wyman, 1533 West Lincoln Road, Kokomo, Indiana. Tonight we're here requesting, as Mr. Sheeline mentioned, a rezone from C1 to C2 for the former Key Bank building at the the southwest corner of Dixon and Jefferson Street. The good news is that we're going to be keeping the building that is there and actually adding onto it. So if you see the drawing that we provided, we're looking to do a gas station and convenience at the most north part of the building, and then we'll be finishing out the building on the south side to include 3 inline retail units. So to be a mixed use, it'll be gas station convenience with retail units. As you guys may or may not know, the property was restricted by deed upon sale that it could not be a financial institution because that was what the seller had put in the deed. And so that does limit, obviously, the type of use on the property, but we think that having the inline retail really brings a nice attractive aspect to the site. So we're asking for C1 to C2 in order to accommodate this project.
Any questions from the board? Staff report, Mr. Sheehan.
Staff report for case P05-Z-22. Paul Wyman, the Wyman Group, on behalf of Forest Park 2 LLC, is requesting a change in zone classification from the parcel address listed above to be used as a gas station, convenience store, and retail. The adjoining property zonings are to the north C2, medium to large scale general commercial, and IS institutional use, to the south AR agricultural residential, and C1 small to medium scale general commercial. To the west IS institutional use, and C2 medium to large scale general commercial, and to the west AR agricultural rural residential. According to the City of Kokomo zoning ordinance, C2 is an appropriate adjacent district to the neighboring parcels. According to the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map, this property is located in an area designated for medium-density residential and general commercial. Medium-density residential is defined as being single-family housing of varying types between 3 to 6 dwelling units per acre. Typical medium-density housing would be single-family detached duplexes, triplexes, condominiums, townhomes, and cluster housing. General commercial is defined as being a commercial area that accommodates a wide variety of large and small-scale commercial uses. Typically, this category is for commercial uses that cater to vehicle traffic with high visibility from major roadways. Under land use goals to encourage orderly and responsible development, to promote health, safety, and quality of life for residents in the city of Kokomo, while maintaining Kokomo as a leading community for affordable housing. Relevant land use objectives are to encourage adequate land for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. Designate specific districts in the community suitable for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and residential uses. The goal of the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Transportation Map is to enhance connections throughout the city for improved safety, function, and efficiency for all modes of transportation, including vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian networks. According to the transportation map, this area of West Jefferson Road is defined as a minor arterial. A minor arterial is a street designated primarily to provide access to abutting properties and discourage through traffic. The traffic count for this area of West Jefferson Road is 2,994 cars per day. The requested zoning change is compatible with all surrounding zonings. Therefore, the staff desires the board to forward a favorable recommendation to the Kokomo Common Council. Easy for me to say, right?
Any questions from the board now that we've had staff report? Any questions from the audience? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote on case P05Z22. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. It will now go to the city council and will be presented there by Councilman Matt Grecu. Director.
Thank you, sir. The next case tonight, Mr. President, is case P06-Z-22, petition of Redwood USA LLC and SRE LLC requested the Kokomo City Plan Commission petition and recommended the Kokomo Common Council for change in zone classification from R3 medium density residential and M1 low density multifamily residential to M2 general multifamily residential, and this is east of Brook Road and north of Walnut Creek Apartments.
Move for approval.
Second.
Is there someone here to present this case? Please step forward.
Good evening. My name's Bob Dyer. I represent the applicant. My address is 136 Franklin Street, Hudson, Ohio 44236. If I can approach and distribute some material?
Sure.
Will you have that available for any additional unexpected?
We'll take that down now.
I love it. We need some Velcro.
You push now. You push now.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you. Looks better than I thought.
I've got some information up on the screen also. Hopefully I'm not a high-tech person, but let's see if I can do this. So, let me start, if you go to the back of the booklet, there should be a Google Earth aerial. It's a loose paper, and that shows the location. We're located down in the southeast quadrant of town. Brook Road is our western boundary, and the Walnut Creek Apartments are to our south. So that kind of gives you a feeling where we're located. What I'd like to do briefly, I understand, is I want to talk a little bit about who Redwood is, talk a little bit about our product, and then talk about the specifics of the rezoning and to share a site plan with you. So, who we are. We are located in 10 states across the country, and you can follow along in the booklet. I'm going to be skipping some of the pages, though, just to save some time, so everybody can get home in a decent hour, because I like to talk. We were founded in 1991. We're based out of a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio. We currently have a little over 13,000 dwellings in our neighborhoods, and these are neighborhoods that we've developed and we own and we manage. Something that's kind of unique to Redwood is that we have never sold any community that we've developed since 1991. So that's just not what we do. We plan on being a long-term corporate citizen of the city. Our communities are all financed conventionally, and I guess there's one kind of core value or goal that has provided us with a fair measure of success and that we follow, and that is that we always try to create an apartment neighborhood where residents can experience all the comforts of home, but without the hassles and the anxiety and the stress created by home ownership. And I think that's probably more than anything else why we've experienced success. Now, let's talk a little bit about our product. You know what? Real quickly, we are in Indiana significantly. The closest communities to Kokomo would be, we have a couple we have 2 communities in Westfield. There's 2 in Noblesville. We've got 3 up in Fort Wayne, and there's 1 under construction in Lafayette. And then we have other communities also in the Indianapolis area. Okay, so what do we build? All right, probably the most important thing to understand is that we build single-story communities. Nobody lives above you, nobody lives below you. And each dwelling is serviced by a 2-car attached garage. And again, going back to the concept I spoke of earlier about having a home without the hassles of home ownership, that's what we try to do. So it's an apartment neighborhood, but it lives, our dwellings live like homes. Each dwelling also has a private patio in the back. Oops, sorry. In these pictures also, you can kind of get a feel for the look of the community. So we've got lifetime dimensional shingles, Energy Star windows, our exterior walls are 6 inches. And then on our interiors, not only do we not have any stairs, there are no steps at all. And that makes it attractive for older folks, which are really the core of our residents. We've got open floor plans, vaulted ceilings. Every dwelling is a two-bedroom dwelling. There's 2 full baths. You get a bonus room, which can be used as a den. It can be used as a home office. I stayed with Redwood while I was downsizing and having a home built, and I used my my space as a home office. So they have that, walk-in closets in the master bedroom. There's a walk-in pantry in the kitchen, and the kitchens are large enough so you can have an eating kitchen, put your own table and chairs there. Again, the objective is to make it like a home without the hassles of home ownership. All right, I'm going to skip through there. The other thing, if you look at the fixtures and the countertops, they're all granite countertops in the bathrooms and in the kitchen. And we try to upgrade all of those things. So, who are our residents? Well, the largest group of folks living in our communities across our portfolio are empty nesters. They're folks where the kids have moved away, and again, they don't need as much space, and they don't want to deal with the hassles and the maintenance. The next group are young professionals. Now, again, folks don't have kids, but they kind of like the peace and quiet of the community and the space that they get. Our average age is 51. And our rents range, starting out, our rents will range from $1,500 to $2,000 a month. We have approximately, again, this is across our portfolio, we have approximately one school-age child for every 12 dwellings. So school districts love us, typically. We're actually generating revenue for them, and there's not that many kids coming out of the community to educate. And we average about 1.5 folks per dwelling. Those are the demographics. Okay. So why does our formula work so well? Well, I think for all the reasons I talked about, the design certainly is critical. But another important thing, we have 24/7 professional on-site management. So there'll be a leasing office, leasing agent, there's a full-time maintenance person, and those people typically live in the community. When I was there, they actually told me if I needed to have a light bulb changed, they would change my light bulb. And I kind of took offense to that, thinking, okay, do I look like I can't accomplish that on my own? But that's the kind of service that Redwood provides. The other things, just so you get a feel, again, remember, everyone has their own separate driveway leading up to their garage. And even the trash is picked up like a single-family home. So instead of having a dumpster, what you have is you have trash cans in your garage that you wheel down to the end of the driveway, and that gets picked up on trash day. Now, we typically provide our own trash service, so the city doesn't have to do that. These are private streets, but again, you're not looking at an apartment complex with a vast expanse of asphalt with outside parking. Okay, so why are we good for Kokomo? Well, there's a number of reasons. I think the most important reason is that we believe that there are a significant number of folks living here today that are, as they age, their homes become too much for them, and they don't have a choice. They have to stay in the home longer than they want, and that's what we're going to provide an option for those folks to come live with us. We typically draw a significant proportion of folks into our communities from a 3-mile radius, and we believe that will be no different in Kokomo. So we're excited about that. And again, I had mentioned about the schools that having a minimum impact but providing significant revenue. Here are some renderings of some elevations. The top elevation, this is under standard building types. The top elevation is the Haydenwood, and you'll notice you don't see any garages. We would propose that would be on the front of the community facing the existing residence on the other side of Brook Road. So we won't have any driveways on Brook Road. It'll just be like the front, looking at the front of dwellings. And then there's examples of some other of our product type for you to take a look at. It's traditional architecture. So, talking about the rezoning, if you get towards the back and you have the colored sheet showing the aerials, the aerial to the left is the existing zoning. There's a red dashed line. There's a red dashed line that goes across the property. We are talking about the Redwood neighborhood would be on the bottom of that line, to the south of that line. To the north of that line, the owner is going to keep that, and his intention is to, at some point, is to develop single-family homes. So what we have is, you'll notice that there's 15.6 acres of the parcel that we're looking at that are already zoned for our product. There are about a little over 4 acres of the area shaded in blue that's below the line, and that's M1. And then there's the peach color over towards Brook Road is R3, and that's about 4 acres also. We're in a unique situation here in that because we're single family, because we're single story, and we have 2-car attached garage, our density is extremely low for an apartment neighborhood. We will be under 8 units per acre. M2, which we're requesting, has a density of up to 24 dwellings per acre. And the only reason why we're asking for that is because under M1, which is 8 units per acre, you can do a duplex or a triplex or a quad. And we have 4 dwelling buildings, but we also have buildings with 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that's the only reason why we're looking to M2. We will commit that we will not build any more than 8. We physically, we can't. But again, we're kind of forced into that zoning district because of the code, the way the code's written. What's interesting to know that we are actually going to be building fewer dwellings than if it was built out under the existing zoning. And by my calculations, you could technically build 432 dwellings on the acreage below the red line per the zoning. And the last plan that we've done, and you have a copy of our plan, our concept plan in there, it's 172. So while current zoning allows for 432, we're significantly below that. We think this is a perfect fit for Kokomo. We look forward to providing an option, a housing option for folks that have been here for a long time and would be interested in joining our neighborhood. And I'm available to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
When you said you would commit to building no more than 8 units per acre, right?
Yes.
I just
It's
wanted
an
to clarify that.
it's an
That's-
easy commitment for us to.
Yeah, right, I mean, it fits with what you, but when you just stopped at 8, I was like, you're committing to just build 8 units? So,
No, 8 per
Eight per
acre, 8 per acre,
just
yes.
wanted to clarify.
Yes.
Any other questions from the board before we have staff report?
Thank you.
Staff report for case PO 6-Z-22. Bob Dyer of Redwood USA LLC is requesting a change in zone classification for the parcels listed below to be utilized as both multifamily and single-family residential. According to the City of Kokomo zoning, ordinance M2 is an appropriate adjacent zoning to all the neighboring zonings listed below, except for the R1 zoning. However, there is already M2 zoning located in the area. Joining property zonings are to the north, M1 low-density multifamily residential and R3 medium-density residential. To the south, M2 multifamily residential and R3 medium-density residential. To the east, multifamily residential and agricultural. And to the west, R1 very low-density residential. According to the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map, this property is located in an area designated for low-density residential, which is single-family housing below density of 3 acres per unit. Typical housing, low housing density would be single-family detached homes. Encourage orderly and responsible development to promote health, safety, and quality of life of residents in the City of Kokomo while maintaining Kokomo as a leading community for affordable housing. That's under land use goals. Relevant land use objectives are to encourage adequate land for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. Designate specific districts in the community suitable for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. This area, the goal of the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Transportation Map is to enhance connections throughout the city for improved safety, function, and efficiency for all modes of transportation, including vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian networks. According to the transportation map, this area of Brook Road near Albright Road is defined as a major collector. This is a street designated to facilitate the collection of traffic from local streets. Also, it provides circulation in neighborhood areas and convenient ways to reach arterial streets. Traffic counts for this area of Brook Road near Albright Road is 2,007 cars per day. This calculation is based on the nearest count located at the intersection of Albright and Coulter Drive. The requested zoning change is compatible with surrounding zonings. Therefore, the staff desires that the board forward a favorable recommendation to the Kokomo Common Council.
Any questions from the board now that we've had staff report?
I want to go back to the, you mentioned 8. If I understand your plan here correctly, you've got 4 of those 8 dwelling structures, is that correct? Each driveway represents a dwelling.
That's
and then
correct.
You have.
That's correct.
You're
Yes.
saying 8,
Yes.
so then there'd be 4 structures of 8 dwellings kind of
If-
tied into one structure.
There are 8 dwelling buildings. There would be some 6 dwelling buildings. We have some 4 dwelling I think there's like 4 dwelling buildings that actually meet the M1 code. And I think there might be a 5 or 6.
Based on this, I've got 12 4 dwelling buildings, 4 5 dwelling buildings, 11 6 dwellings, 1 7, and 4 8s.
That,
Does that sound about correct?
you can, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board?
What's approximately the square footage of each unit?
Sure. If you go back to the, with the elevations that are, it shows those, they're hard to see, but it shows those underneath. For example, the Haydenwood, which are the dwellings that would face out onto Brook Road, those are 1,317 square feet. The Meadowwood, which is an end building, an end dwelling, is 1,327. The Forest Woods, which are typically in the center, are 1,294. And then Cape Wood, they're on the end, and on the ends of the buildings where we can build a sunroom, we'll put that on and it'll go up over 1,600 square feet. So they range from, so let's say around 1,300 square feet up to over 1,600 square feet. Sure.
Any other questions from the board? Questions from the audience?
Why didn't we get a copy of that?
I can make these available to whoever would like them. In fact, I'll pass out my business card.
They can, if they want to look at it, they can take
I was
mine
gonna
and take
say,
a look at it.
then somebody can look at this one.
Just pass those around there.
Can I ask a question? Absolutely. Mike Forehand, 4008 Brook Road. So, does Redwood already own this property? Or is this considering a possible purchase?
I don't know. Mr. Dyer could answer that for you. I believe it's contingent on,
Yes, we have a purchase agreement. We would close on the property once the rezoning is complete and the plans were approved by the city.
And how many, in the plan here, I haven't looked at this yet, but in the plan, how many dwellings are going to be in this area?
Right now, what we're showing is 172, and that's in the area that I was talking about below the red line. But again, the plan would still need to go through the review process with the city, so. And usually, that process doesn't add, it subtracts. But right now, 172.
And without having access from Brook Road, how do you get that many people into that property? Are they going through the apartment complex, or you?
We're showing two access points onto Brook Road. And we put two on there because typically, safety forces like, if you go over 100 dwellings, they like to have a secondary access point.
It's
If
in
you
the back
refer to
here.
the
It's
packet
all
he
in
handed
there.
out, it's this drawing that you're gonna be looking
Yeah,
at.
do you want this?
It'll spell everything out that you guys just asked right there for you. Or that big one.
Look at these two maps in the back.
There's,
And you'll see what he's talking
two
about.
maps back there.
Do you want
Right
this
there,
one?
you can have this one.
Take this one. Here's some
There's one of the
papers.
maps right there.
folks, if you could, I just want everybody to keep in mind, what this board is looking at tonight is only the rezoning of this property. That's all we're looking at tonight, is the rezoning. Once the rezoning passes, if it does, then the petitioner will come back before the board again with the site plan approval. And a lot of the questions that you're asking tonight will be answered during that public meeting, just so you'll know. Because we have a conceptual site plan, but we've not seen a completed site plan yet. Nobody up here has. So some of the questions that you're asking, that you're gonna ask tonight, we probably don't have answers for yet. So all this is tonight is to rezone this property to M2, which is what it has to be rezoned to what the Redwood folks want to accomplish on this lot. But there will be, and I don't know when that next public hearing will be, depending on when they get their site plan done. They'll have to petition, just like they did with the rezoning, and we'll have a public meeting, just like we are tonight. Adjacent property owners will be notified, it'll be in the paper, there'll be signs out just like this meeting was, so you all should know when the next meeting's coming up. But a lot of the questions that you're gonna have tonight will be answered in that meeting, okay, just so you know. I'm not trying to shut you down, I'm not saying we won't answer them, we'll answer them to the best of our ability, but we don't have a lot of those answers yet, because we've not seen a completed site plan.
Okay, well, I guess I don't know if I'm asking the right question or not, but
Can we name and address, please?
I'm sorry, Andy Miller, 4220 Brook Road. I'm against this. If it was single-family homes like to the west of my house where they majestic, I'd be all for it. I don't like, you're gonna have two entrances, you said 172 dwellings, okay, 2 cars per family, that's 320 cars going up and down the road. We have a nice, quiet community. Love it. I don't want that interrupted. Nothing against renters, but if you just look at Walnut Creek, people normally don't take ownership when they rent. When they own, they take pride in ownership. I mean, look at Walnut Creek. I can look out my door on a clear day or unobstructed, and there's a rusted out van with the saying spray painted on the side of it. I don't want that across the street from me. I don't want to look at that. If you have single family homes, they take pride in that. Can you still have that? Sure. The chances are a lot less of that. Yeah, I totally disagree with this rezoning. Keep it single family dwellings and yeah, we just keep our neighborhoods. Thank you.
If I can respond to that, couple of things. Yes, we wouldn't want rusty vans in our community on the streets. In fact, we do not, again, we would prefer to do private streets. We do not allow parking on our streets at all. So remember, every dwelling has a 2-car attached garage, and they have parking for 2 cars in the driveway. So they can handle up to 4. We do put some parking scattered throughout the community for when there are guests. But that would be it. So it's you won't find, the objective would be, we don't want to look at rusty vans in our community either. One of the things that I can, again, this is another commitment as long as the plan is approved, as we discussed. You have in the back of your handouts, there's a photograph that I took of a community that we've done in outside of Spartanburg, South Carolina. And that's showing essentially what is the back of our dwellings facing an existing road, like Brook Road. But what we do is when there's existing residents, an existing community, we will put a front facade on those units. So when you come in to our community, when you drive down Brook Road, that's what you will be seeing. And that's what we show on our concept plan, and that's what we would do. That's our front door.
Any other questions from the audience?
Rick Hicks, 4200 Brook Road. You say that you don't want to look at the vans, but what if you do have them? Do you have association rules that apply in that community? Do you have certain rules of you can't do in that apartment on the property?
Yes. Not regarding a rusted out van, but there are all sorts of, in fact, rules that I don't even agree with. No skateboarding, no bicycling. The speed limit will be 15 miles an hour in our community. We don't do recreation facilities because our goal is not to attract kids. We're looking for people my age and older. We're age targeted. So there are rules with regards to all of that. Plus there's a pretty stringent process of checking applications out.
So do you have some kind of security in that area, being that you're trying to get more of the senior, older group in?
Security? We don't have a security.
Neighborhood watch, whatever you want to call that.
I don't know if they do a neighborhood watch. I would imagine maybe in some communities they did. They do. The one I lived in, we did not have a neighborhood watch.
And then he brought up a good point, with all the traffic that's going to increase through there, who's going to be responsible for upgrading those streets?
Right, that's our, oh, you mean on these?
Brook.
Again.
That'll be our responsibility.
This is going to, what Mr. Sheeline talked about is that I would imagine that there's going to need to be improvements on Brook Road, at least on our side.
Yes.
I'll call it a curb. It's not a big curb, on your side of the street. I would imagine as part of the improvements, at least we've done this in other communities, we would be putting in curb and gutter on our side of the street.
Yes.
At our cost.
Correct. The development plan will include improvements along Brook Road as a condition of
Okay,
approval.
That's to be expected.
Right.
The other thing about traffic, again, averaging about 1.5 folks per dwelling, the number of cars per dwelling are significantly less in a single-family home. The other unique thing, because we have existing neighborhoods, and I can share this with everyone, but we've done traffic studies after the fact in our existing communities to actually look at how much traffic we generate. And there's an international, I think it's an international code or a national code where you have to plug in on traffic studies how many trips that a multifamily unit would have per day, and ours is actually significantly below that. Plus, this is another little benefit, is that the community we all know when rush hour is. Well, because of the mix of the people living in our community, our little rush hour we have in and out, or the peak hour of flows in our community is actually not the same peak hour that you would feel through Kokomo. We're pushed back a little bit, and I think it's because of the age of the folks. It's just they're not going out to jobs. Our peak hour is behind or later than the morning rush hour, and our peak hour in the evening is a little bit before the rush hour.
Where do you pull that data from?
I've got it. We've
Because
actually.
I don't know, but you might know, Albright's pretty busy.
No, all I'm saying is about the timing of the rush hours. We've gone and we've done traffic studies in our existing communities. So we can tell how much traffic is coming. We know the number of dwellings. We can see how much traffic's coming in and how much is coming out across the time of day. Because people complain about traffic. That's a big issue. So it's like, well, we ought to see what do we actually generate from a traffic perspective.
Well, based on where you put the entrance and exit at, will determine where they're gonna come out, because they're not gonna go out on Albright, I'm telling you.
That's an issue that'll be addressed with the state approvals.
Yeah.
Right now, all we're talking about is
Is the
rezoning.
zoning.
Okay, so.
That's
what-
another
what
question
you're
for another
concerned
day.
about, That is, could
Another
be
day.
2 months, could be 6 months.
Bring those up at the next one. All right.
Correct.
Any other questions from the audience?
All
Sir?
rental
Sir? Sir?
You have to come to the microphone, sir.
Mike Forehand again. So all are rental properties? I mean, there's no ownership of anybody in this community?
That's correct.
Okay.
Director Schilling, you want to read that into the record?
Yeah, we did get a letter from a homeowner out there, and my attorney has suggested that we read this into the record. This is from Richard and Sherry Tubbs, so I'll read their objection into the record. Says, since my wife and I will be out of town on the evening of the public hearing, we wanted to send you this email to express our objection to the petition by Redwood USA. This is a formal objection based on the Indiana Code 36-7-4-924. First and foremost is the reduction in the value of our home caused by clustering of affordable housing on small residential lots. With nearly 25 acres to develop, there will be 125 estimated new houses constructed. The existing zoned classifications were created to protect the value of the homes built in this area, and we believe that they should not be changed. Indiana Code states the following: the use or value of the area adjacent to the property included would be affected in a substantially adverse manner. As homeowners and taxpayers of the area adjacent to the property, we believe that this development would affect our home values in a substantially adverse manner. Therefore, thoroughfare plan included in the comprehensive plan, Indiana Code 36-7-4-506. The second point is the stress on the existing infrastructure in this area. Brook Road cannot support the additional number of vehicles that would enter and exit this new subdivision. With the current traffic situation along Albright Road, a diversion to this location would not work either. Has a traffic study been conducted to assess the impact and who will pay for the study and any potential improvements? Impact fees and capital cost, pardon me, Indiana Code 36-7-4-1305. Additional infrastructure impacts include city water and sewage. Brook Road is currently near the end of the city's Terrace Meadows Run, and without substantial investment by the city to upgrade these public utilities, the proposed subdivision will not be able to be connected. Has the city assessed the cost to upgrade these utilities and who is paying for them? The city of Kokomo already has areas of affordable housing on small residential lots under development where building lots are still available. Does the Planning Commission believe that this development is necessary when the majority of the adjacent homeowners are opposed to it? I respectfully request that this letter be read aloud during the meeting of the Plan Commission and entered into the minutes so that my neighbors know that I stood with them in opposition of this development. John, I don't know if you want to address a couple, three of these points. I know most of this is something you would be looking at.
The infrastructure, I've already discussed with the developer that there would be, and stated at this meeting, there would be upgrades. To what extent those upgrades along Brook Road would be, it remains to be determined. That was the first time, tonight was the first time I've seen kind of this overall layout. So we can take that into consideration. But I would agree that some kind of upgrade along Brook Road would be necessary. Of course, we don't control city water. That would be extended by, even though I'm not part of the water company, by the developer would pay to extend water. But it's a private water company. It really doesn't have anything to do with the city. Sewage, again, would pay, the developer would have to pay to extend sewage. City wouldn't bear that cost either. I don't know of any capacity issues that we have in that area, though, for sanitary sewer.
That all goes to the development plan approval, correct?
Correct, yeah,
Yes.
that all goes, I'm just trying to address point by
We're trying to
point,
address
you know, and just
tonight,
so that
yes.
I can get it on record. Affordable housing, you know, I'm just gonna mention this personally, that's kind of vague, you know, it's not, we're not talking about subsidized housing here. I mean, affordable housing is somewhat of a desirable thing, you know, in my opinion anyway, so, you know, he uses that term a couple of different times, and I don't want to get it confused with, you know, HUD housing or Section 8 housing or anything like that. That's not what they're proposing here. These are, as he said, they seem to me to be somewhat marketed to empty nesters, so people who want to downsize. So just going through that email point by point, those would be the things I would comment from the engineering department, anyway.
Thank you.
Didn't quite comprehend what you were meaning by water being a private water source.
Indiana American Water.
Indiana American Water Corp.
City has nothing to do with Indiana
We
American
don't
Water.
own the water utility here.
Okay, I was gonna say, because all the water and sewer comes through my property, and if they gotta tear all that up and reinstall all of the,
Right, and I can't.
I mean, they
really
did it while, back, what, 95, I think it was, when they put all that berm in and put all the infrastructure in to bring it up into that property, came through on the north end of my property there, so.
And the sewer actually already exists on this property. It runs through the middle of it.
Yeah,
So-
but did they put in enough for 173 dwellings, or 172? That's what I wonder, and if not, then they have to go tear that out and put bigger in, you know. What's sticking up out of the ground are pipes that are about that big around, so I don't
But
know
the
how many
main-
toilets you can flush through that much water.
Yeah, the
So-
main is an 8-inch, and a typical 8-inch on a standard or minimum slope would handle about 600 to 800 homes
Okay.
from a flow standpoint.
We did look at that, because that's obviously a major item. And our engineer looked at it, and there should be no issues with, on the sanitary
Yeah, 3 times as much.
Yeah.
3 times as much. So I mean, if they take this property and build these, it's going to be a much lesser impact on this area than it potentially could be.
In fact, there's an old plan out there that reflects this zoning, and that was at the time Walnut Creek was built. And there was supposed to be a second phase of Walnut Creek. And that second phase of Walnut Creek follows the M2 zoning line. And then the M1 was going to be four unit buildings, and then the R3 was single family. So there were, on the old plan, which that zoning reflects, there were a lot more dwellings proposed than what we're, going to your point, than what we're proposing to do.
And sir, did you say that only was about 4 acres that we're talking about the M2 zoning below that red line?
There's, below the dashed red line, the area shaded in blue, which is M1, is like 4.1 acres, and the area, the peach area over to the west along Brook Road is about 4.2 acres, yes, and the rest of it is M2.
So total of 8 acres is being rezoned, yeah.
Yes.
Any other questions from the audience? Any questions from the board? Okay, we're gonna take a vote. What we're taking a vote on is to send this to the city council with or without a favorable recommendation. That's what this board is getting ready to do.
For the zoning,
For the zone.
not the, just for the build, yeah.
Just for the zone.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of case P06Z22, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. It now goes to the common council and will be presented there by Councilman Matt Reque. Director Sheila.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I have no other business tonight, Mr. President.
Next on the agenda is approval of claims.
I make a motion that we approve $28,909.57.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of claims. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the claims are approved. Need a volunteer to go to the county meeting on March 15th.
I'll volunteer.
I have
If
no
nobody
idea.
else wants to.
I don't know what time. Do you know what?
Yes, 5:30.
You know where you're going,
The meeting
Tyler?
date's got changed, 5:30. No, it's in my office building on the 3rd floor,
Right
in the
above you.
commissioner's room,
Pink.
commissioner hearing room.
Once they see those drawings and stuff.
Yeah.
Chair needs a
Once
motion.
they see the
Have a
drawings.
second, please.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you.
Oh, it's